This video is about my recent experience with members of Generation Z between the ages of 20 to 27. It makes a massive generalization about Generation Z. However, I do understand that there are members of Generation Z that are health conscious and take care of themselves and are really concerned about HIV. However, I haven't met any of them recently.
Generation Z aren't scared of HIV. I found this out quite recently, and I never realised how much of a cultural change there has been from their generation to my generation. When I grew up in the 1980s, yes, I know you are surprised, but I am that old, AIDS awareness and HIV awareness was everywhere. It was on TV, it was in magazines. Princess Diana was going to meet AIDS patients in hospital, and she was giving them like hugs and shaking their hand, and people were saying like how brave she was to do so. But every news story not every news story, but every week there was a news story about AIDS and how it was killing so many people, this mystery, deadly disease. And when I realized that I was gay in 1993, I was absolutely terrified of what this would mean for me as an adult, as a gay adult. But now I am a gay adult and I'm HIV negative, and I am absolutely shocked to find out that Generation Z aren't scared, bothered, worried about contracting HIV. So, how do I know this? Well, let me share this with you. So, I've become a daddy. What does this mean? Well, it certainly doesn't mean that I have procreated with a member of the opposite sex, even though that would make my parents very happy because they'd have another grandchild. No. What this means in this context is my beard is going grey, and going grey in other places, as well as on top of my head, and I'm getting a dad bod, despite my greatest attempts of going to the gym every day to fend off the dad bod does seem to be winning. However, there are some advantages to having a dad bod, because recently I have found that I've been getting lots of messages from guys in their early 20s, well, early and mid-20s, and Generation Z goes all the way up to 27. All the way up to, oh my god. Nothing. 27 is nothing. Anyway, so obviously I'm fulfilling a fantasy for them when they message me on whichever app. They basically are looking for an older man to hook up with, and very, very, very few of them want to have safe sex. When it comes to reaching for the condoms and lube, they just reach for the lube, and sometimes there's not even any condoms in the house. Now, I'm happy to fulfill whatever fantasy they have, but I take PrEP every day, and I go every few months to the clinic, and as of my last exam results, I am negative for everything, and that's great. However, I've been really shocked, to find out how many members of Generation Z aren't even bothered about HIV. To them, they see it as a disease of the 1980s, it's a disease of the 1990s, and these days you can take one pill a day and you'll be fine. They don't see it as a life-changing disease, they don't see it as a life-ending disease. And that got me wondering, what the hell has changed from 1990 to now? I went to speak to a friend of mine who's a sexual health doctor. We actually went out and had dinner. And I explained this situation to him and said that basically the guys in their 20s that I've been intimate with recently aren't interested in using condoms. I explained to him that when I was in my 20s, I was terrified of HIV. Like, what's changed? And he just said to me, now HIV is considered to be a
controllable disease,
and there's no public education campaigns, unlike there was in the 1980s and the 1990s. However, I've got a group of friends in London, and many of them are HIV positive. They are all roughly my age as well. And I spoke to two of them and said, like, how do they feel about being HIV positive? One of them said to me it's the worst thing that ever happened in his life, and if he could change it, he would. The other one said to me that basically for him it was a relief, because he'd worried so long about catching HIV that when he finally caught it, it was a relief for him because he didn't have to worry about catching it anymore. Now, one thing I want to say is that both of these friends that I spoke to were both given HIV by two people who said that they didn't have it. I am genuinely honest with the guys I hook up with. I tell them that I take PrEP every day. I tell them I go to the sexual health clinic to get tested every few months. I tell them that my last results for everything were negative. I tell them that I've been vaccinated for 2 types of hepatitis, whichever 2 you can get vaccinated for. I know B is one of them, but I can never remember the other one. I'm vaccinated for the latest vaccination for HPV, and generally I take good care of myself, but not everybody's like me. People will lie, and people will say like, yeah, I'm negative, that's fine, let's just go for it. And I'm really concerned about Generation Z, because literally they're just not scared of HIV, and they don't seem to mind if you don't use a condom. For me, it's really mind-blowing. And it brings me to the final point of my video, which is, whose responsibility is it to educate Generation Z? Does it come down to the responsibility of Gen X or millennials or the boomers to just say, hey, there's a disease, it's called HIV. It is a disease from the past, but it's still very much a real thing. And even though you can get infected by it and you can take a pill every day, that's a pill every day for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Is it our responsibility to pass on this lesson to them? Does it fall down to the government to actually do public awareness campaigns and teach the younger generation about HIV, that it's still very much a real thing? Or, bearing in mind that younger generations don't normally listen to older generations, is this something that they have to learn for themselves? I don't know. Give me your opinion. Write it down below in the comments. I would love to know what you all think.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you're not subscribed already, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button, or you can click some of the other videos that are popping up on the screen right now. Thanks very much.